Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.
Hi, I'm Shannon Sweeney. I've been a player or coach for most of my life, and I understand the need to keep our kids motivated and safe. As a parent and coach, I also understand the need to make sure our children are protected. That's why insurance is as an important part of the game as a good coach is. I've known my fellow coach, Wayne Dietz, for 10 years. I've seen him motivate and inspire players both on and off the floor. I've also seen him make sure that our children are safe by making sure that the teams are properly insured. As a coach, we don't often think about insurance, and when you work with Wayne and his team at D&H Risk Solutions, you won't have to. They take care of everything with honesty and integrity so that you can focus on what you do best, coaching your team to victory.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, Heaven Hill Farm, Highland General Store, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Hardware, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, and Valley Paint and Hardware. Come in, we're local.
Welcome to Vernon Vibes. It's great to see you again. As always, I look forward to the time that we spend together. And it's been a really busy 2 weeks since we've had a chance to talk to each other. So I'd like to take a moment and tell you a little bit about what's happening and what's gone on. And I want to start this evening by telling you that the new Shop Vernon property tax credit card program is off to a tremendous start. As of yesterday, 10 days into the Shop Vernon property tax card program, over 500 families have signed up to participate. And in that first 10 days, we've also added 3 new merchants to the program. So the word is going out, and my friends on the Economic Development Advisory Committee asked if, of course, I would be able to let you know that the program is up, it's running. Merchants are, in fact, experiencing a use of the card. In the first full week, sales on Shop Vernon cards exceeded $7,000, generated about 7.5% of that number to people's property tax bills. And Mr. DeFalco, the president and owner of FinCredit, indicated to me in a phone conversation yesterday that it's one of the most vibrant and active launches that he's seen of the 7 communities. So we're proud of that. And I want to thank you, the people in Vernon, who have gotten their cards and signed up and now start using them. Take the time to shop locally. If you follow the links from the websites, whether it's the Vernon Township website where there is a Shop Vernon tab that you can visit, or whether it's in fact the FinCredit website, which you can reach with the information on the back of your Shop Vernon card, you will see the merchants who are taking part in the program and what the percentage of discount or rebate they are contributing to your property tax. I'm really excited about the program. Everyone was of course, wondering how will it go. The acceptance has been extremely positive, and I'm really excited about it. I know that there'll be more and more merchants coming on. You know, there are always people who don't want to be the first, but also don't want to be the last. And so I would encourage all businesses in Vernon Township to take a relook. Our restaurants and our shops, relook the Shop Vernon program, because I believe that it will drive sales into your businesses, and residents in Vernon will begin to get into the habit of shopping locally, which of course is the objective of the program. So stay tuned. I'll keep you apprised as things happen. Look for this next week's issues of our local papers. There'll be ads, half-page ads detailing what has happened. We have sent out 8,000 Shop Vernon cards so far. I will tell you that there's a slight problem, and maybe those of you who haven't received your card yet, it could be because we don't have your right mailing address. Of the 8,000 cards that we have mailed so far, about 500 have been returned to Vernon Township for incorrect address, for whatever the reason may be. What we've done with those letters and cards is we have them here in the mayor's office. Mrs. Mills, my assistant, has them in alphabetical order. If you didn't receive a card and you want one, I would suggest that you call the mayor's office, ask to speak to Mrs. Mills, and she will be able to tell you whether or not yours was sent but returned for an incorrect address. Now, that'll do two things. It'll get you the card, and it'll get us the right address, which is important because we're going to be communicating over time about how this program is going forward. But on the whole, I'm excited about it. It's working really well, and I hope you'll get as excited as I am because it'll benefit our businesses, it'll benefit our community, and it'll help you lower your property tax. What a deal, huh? I'll be back in just a minute.
Since 1972, H&H Auto Parts has provided motorists in the Vernon area with the best auto parts and customer service. Our goal is to offer the best auto parts and customer service available at affordable prices to get you back on the road in no time. To learn about the superior parts we offer, please contact us by phone 973-827-3459.
Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.
Welcome back. I try to be positive, but sometimes I just have to call it the way I see it. Last evening, at the Vernon Township Council meeting, there was a myriad of extremely important business that was discussed and action was taken by the town council. And before this program is over, I'm going to share some of that with you. And you probably are saying to yourself, you know, Mayor, why do you do that? Well, I'm about to tell you why. For those of you who depend on the local county daily, this morning's issue, across the top of the front page, was a headline, Vernon opts for silent moment at council meetings. First of all, the headline's incorrect. That isn't what happened. There was a less than 5-minute discussion about that issue in which the council unanimously decided that for special reasons, should it be a loss of a member of our township family or something of a gravity that would warrant it, then in fact the council would observe a moment of silence. But they were all clear that they were not interested in introducing any form of religious prayer as part and parcel of their routine council meetings. Now, it doesn't matter what your thoughts are on that issue. The point is this. There were at least 3 major decisions that were made last evening by the town council, and there were a myriad of resolutions that were passed authorizing certain action to be taken by this mayor on behalf of the town council. Not one word. Not one. Recently, I had the opportunity to see a blog, if you will, that was posted by a former councilman who now does not live in Vernon. And it was on the issue of my raise. And he said in his blog that the most frustrating thing for him as he served Vernon was that our electorate is uninformed. Uninformed. That's quite an indictment. But you know what? How could you be informed if you depended on the headlines that are in the local daily? Because they're more interested in reporting to you about birthday cakes for council people and about whether or not there's going to be a moment of silence or prayer or any other peripheral and unimportant things rather than reporting to you the actual business that's being done by your local government. It's time for you as citizens to speak out about this issue. Oh, it's great to have the controversy, and I know all about it, sells newspapers and all the rest of it. I think it's time for responsible journalism. I don't care if the Herald wants to write about those other things. They're entitled to do that. It's their newspaper, and the reporter has the right to do it. But they also have a responsibility to you, the public, to report what happened, the actual business that was taking place. And that has not happened in the time since I've been your mayor. part of the reason that Vernon Vibes exists is that I got so very tired of picking up the newspapers and seeing that the important business that was being done was nowhere reported. And so I challenged the New Jersey Herald and the reporter from the New Jersey Herald to begin reporting the news, not making it. I'll be back in just a minute.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, Heaven Hill Farm, Highland General Store, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Hardware, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, and Valley Paint and Hardware. Come in, we're local.
Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.
Welcome back. As I promised in the last section, I want to take a little bit of time to talk to you about what took place at the council meeting last evening, which would be the meeting of the 13th. The first resolution that was approved was a resolution accepting and approving the corrective action plan by the finance office here under the direction of CFO Elke Yetter. I've talked to you before about our audit. It was outstanding. It was absolutely outstanding. There was one recommendation from our auditors that needed to be addressed. Now, I've told you before, when I came here as your mayor, there were 22 recommendations for changes and improvement to the way Vernon Township was doing his business. All of those 22 have been addressed. And the last one that remains is really an issue of personnel. And in talking to our auditors, in fact, they told us that virtually every community in New Jersey gets the same recommendation, and that is that there should be a cashier to accept all revenues that come into the township. So in essence, what that means is if you wanted a building permit, first you had to go and get the paperwork at the building department, and then you had to go down to the cashier and pay it. Then you have to take the receipt and go back down to the building department and get your receipt. Most of us in local government think that that's rather cumbersome, but more importantly, there really aren't enough dollar transactions to warrant a full-time employee. However, that being a recommendation, Mrs. Yetter is working toward a corrective plan that may solve the downfall and the drawbacks that I've just mentioned. So just stay tuned for next year, because the plan looks pretty good and the council adopted it unanimously last night. In addition, the council approved a request for a solicitor's permit. Actually, the permit is issued to Power Home Remodeling Group. Now, I want to address it because it's important for everyone to understand. This is a company that comes around, knocks on your door, offers you the opportunity to have a complete proposal and appraisal for remodeling of your house. I don't know anything about their, whether they're reliable or not, but they are licensed by the state of New Jersey, and therefore, by applying for the solicitor's permit, Vernon Township cannot turn them down. But the reason I'm drawing it to your attention is that solicitor's permit does not allow this company to, in fact, knock on doors on private roads in this town. So if you live in a lake community on a private road and these people come by, I'm going to ask you to tell them they're on private property and without permission from that community, whether it be the Lake Community Association or the Homeowners Association. Just because they have a solicitor's permit from the town does not authorize them to go on private property. So please be aware of it. I'm sure that they're probably a reputable company, but they have to follow the rules. And one of the rules is just because you have the permit doesn't mean you can go anywhere you please.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, Heaven Hill Farm, Highland General Store, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Hardware, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, and Valley Paint and Hardware. Come in, We're local.
Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.
The third thing that was addressed by the council was the approval of a grant from the Division of Highway Traffic Safety, known as the Seatbelt Enforcement Program, Click It or Ticket. And you will be seeing the Vernon police officers as they make their tour of the town. We'll be looking for those of you who don't like to wear your seatbelt. If you get caught with it, not clicked, you're going to get a ticket. In addition, we rejoined the Middlesex Regional Educational Services Commission Cooperative. There are certain things that we purchase through them because they have the best price. The council also unanimously passed the endorsement of the submission of our 2013 recycling tonnage grant application to the New Jersey DEP. That will result in probably about $45,000 to $50,000 in revenue to Vernon Township based upon the amount of tax that's collected on those companies that create the need for recycling. And we usually do pretty well with it. We use that money for the clean cities. Oftentimes you'll see civic groups in Vernon, Boy Scouts and others along the side of the road picking up trash and cleaning up. They get $500 for that each time they do it, and that $500 comes from this recycling grant. So we use the money that we get to keep the township clean and to at the same time support our civic organizations who are willing to get out and help clean up the roads and keep them clean for you. We're also doing something else different. We're always looking for innovative ways to do business, and as I have reported to you in the past, in our first year here, we were the first municipal court in New Jersey to begin to handle the arraignments of prisoners who were in the Sussex County Jail via video. And we're now about to add another innovation to the Vernon Municipal Court. Up until now, if someone was in court and was assigned a fine, they were directed to the court administrator's window outside the court to pay their fine. And oftentimes people would come to the window and they would not have any cash and they would offer their credit card, and we were not capable of accepting credit cards to pay the fines. And so sometimes they would write a check and then we'd find out later that the check was no good, it would bounce, the people were gone. Make it a long story short, our accounts receivable for unpaid fines was beginning to climb dramatically, and so we began to look at ways to overcome that. And what we found out by communicating with other courts was by installing the ability to pay their fines with a credit card, those unpaid traffic fines began to dwindle dramatically. And so in the very near future, defined as by the end of this month, if you go to court in Vernon, or if you have an outstanding ticket in Vernon, or if you have some kind of money that you owe to the court in Vernon, you will be able to come here and pay it on your credit card. And so that, I believe, you will see a dramatic improvement in the accounts receivable of that department. And of course, that plays into your property tax. The more successful we are at collecting the fees and the fines and all the other things that are part of doing business in Vernon, the less we have to rely on the property tax to run the town for your business. So that new innovation I'm excited about. Also last evening, the Town Council unanimously endorsed the inclusion of Block 183, Lot 15 in the Township's wastewater management plan. Now, that's the first step. The piece of property actually is commonly known as the Kelly property along Route 94. The Township is the first step. Before that piece of property gets into the wastewater management plan, they have a very, very stringent and long process. However, the council has approved it, and so they're on to the next step, and that piece of property may very well be included in the wastewater management plan at some point in the future. The last resolution is one that I'm very happy to report to you. Some time ago, the developer of the Whispering Woods development in Vernon went bankrupt, leaving the people who lived in that development with unfinished drainage, with unfinished roads, And Vernon Township moved quickly when that happened to, in fact, recover the bond that had been required by the municipality. And so last evening, after all of the legal aspects were met and all of the engineering was done and the bidding was completed, the town council accepted a bid to repair and finish all of the drainage problems that are present. There is money left over. There'll be another bid before the summer is over to get those roads paved. And what has been a long nightmare for many of our residents will be coming to an end in 2014. Their streets and their drainage will be brought up to town spec. I expect that they'll approach the town council to take over the roads. They will meet the standards at that point in time. I'm happy for the people. I want to thank Corey Stoner, our town engineer, for the work he did. I want to thank Municipal Attorney Kevin Kelly for the work that he did. That project now will move forward. I'll be back in just a minute.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, Heaven Hill Farm, Highland General Store, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Hardware, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, and Valley Paint and Hardware. Come in. We're local.
Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.
There were two ordinances that were approved on first reading. And as I've said in the past, each of my sessions I'm going to try and do a little bit of education as to how the system works. Ordinances are the equivalent of a municipal law. You know, at the state it's statutes, at the county it's ordinances, and at the municipal level it's ordinances. Last evening, an ordinance was approved on first reading, and what that means is that the ordinance is introduced by title, the council votes to introduce it, and then has a conversation amongst themselves and with my office or any of the professionals that are impacted. And that happened last evening on two issues. 2 weeks from now or beyond, the date hasn't been set exactly, but it will be, and it's advertised on our agendas and in all the advertisements. There will be a second reading of the two ordinances I'm about to talk to you about, and at that time, there'll be a public hearing held. Once the second reading and the public hearing is held, then the council often has its final discussion and vote. And if they vote to approve on second reading, then the ordinance is ready for the signature of the mayor. Once that ordinance has been approved, I have 10 days as the mayor to decide whether or not I'm going to sign it into law or whether I'm going to veto it. And that's one of the major differences of our form of government now from what it was before. In the manager-council form of government, the manager did not have veto authority over the governing body. In the committee form of government, prior to that, in the 1900s and before, there was no such thing as vetoing because the town committee was everything. They were the mayor, the deputy mayor, they were the fire commissioner, each one of the members and like. So in the 80s when I served Vernon Township, it was a committee form of government. It was totally different. We had an administrator at that time, we had a treasurer at that time, but all of them reported to the town committee. The advent of the manager-council form actually brought it about a difference. And so I want to tell you about the two ordinances. One in particular has to do with approval of $240,000 in expenditures, actually from the 2013 capital improvement budget, which the money has already been funded and has been sitting there. We have appropriated last evening $200,000 toward the secondary and tertiary road program that we began last year that you heard me talk about so much. We're continuing it in 2014. That program will be a minimum of $250,000 spent. This $200,000 that was approved last night will get us started. The balance is in the operating budget of the DPW. In addition, $25,000 was approved for software for the DPW and $15,000 for GPS. By the end of this year, probably sooner. Every piece of equipment owned by Vernon Township will be under GPS surveillance. We'll be able to know where they are, how fast they're traveling, how long they stop for. If, just to kind of put it where you live, in the wintertime, when I get calls that I haven't seen a truck here in 10 hours, I'll be able to go back and pull up the GPS and be able to tell you exactly when the truck went through your neighborhood, as will Mr. Pullis and the other managers in the DPS. So we are moving forward to implementing the kind of technology that will improve the service to you without driving the cost up. That was ordinance number 1. Ordinance number 2 is really important. When the town council adopted the new administrative code, we were under a time frame, the government under a time frame, that led to certain things being left out and certain changes not being made. One in particular, and there are many, and I'll be talking to you about them as we address them throughout 2014, one of them had to do with the authority of the police department. And the previous ordinance indicated that the police department had to report to the town manager. Not so. Police department, under this form of government, reports to the mayor. That ordinance, first reading, occurred last night. We will be correcting the wording in the town administrative code, and we'll be doing it in a lot of other issues as we move forward. I'll be back in just a minute.
Since 1972, H&H Auto Parts has provided motorists in the Vernon area with the best auto parts and customer service. Our goal is to offer the best auto parts and customer service available at affordable prices to get you back on the road in no time. To learn about the superior parts we offer, please contact us by phone 973-827-3459.
Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.
Welcome back. I'm going to close this evening by telling you that I don't like to have the kinds of conversations I had to have last time about the vandalism at Maple Grange or the lack of picking up dog droppings. Nobody does. And I certainly don't like to have to wave a finger or wag a finger, if you will, and tell people that we are going to do what we're going to do. But to be frank with you, when the town goes to the effort of providing a facility the quality of Maple Grange for the use of all our citizens, to have a small number of people denigrate, destroy, and vandalize that property is really, really upsetting. So if I was stronger than I should have been, I apologize, but that doesn't change the message, and I want to repeat it. If you vandalize the property of Vernon Township, we're going to catch you, and if we do, we're going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. And secondly, having to do with the dogs, we already have in place an ordinance that will allow us to prosecute people who don't clean up after their dogs. And I want you to know, if you don't, there are dog duty bags provided all over the Maple Grange Park. Please use them. It's great to be with you. Have a great evening. I'll look forward to the next time we're together.
Hi, I'm Shannon Sweeney. I've been a player or coach for most of my life, and I understand the need to keep our kids motivated and safe. As a parent and coach, I also understand the need to make sure our children are protected. That's why insurance is as an important part of the game as a good coach is. I've known my fellow coach, Wayne Dietz, for 10 years. I've seen him motivate and inspire players both on and off the floor. I've also seen him make sure that our children are safe by making sure that the teams are properly insured. As a coach, we don't often think about insurance, and when you work with Wayne and his team at D&H Risk Solutions, you won't have to. They take care of everything with honesty and integrity so that you can focus on what you do best, coaching your team to victory.
The Vernon Independent Retailers Association reminds you that when you shop locally, you're helping to build our community by supporting local employment and keeping your tax dollars in our community. Support the Vernon Independent Retailers who support you. Brought to you by The Copy Center, H&H Auto Parts, Healthy Times Market, Heaven Hill Farm, Highland General Store, Lakeland Pool and Spa, McAfee Hardware, McAfee Ski and Snowboard, and Valley Paint and Hardware. Come in, we're local.
Vernon Vibes is brought to you in part by United Water, the official water company of Vernon Township. United Water, involved in the communities they serve.